Okay, so now on to task 3, and it says calculate the price for a customer's consignment of parcels. Extend task 2 to also calculate the price for each parcel using the following rules. From 1 to 5 kilograms inclusive, the cost is $10, and then for each 100 grams over 50 kilograms up to 10 kilograms, it costs an extra 10 cents. So there's always a calculation problem in the pre-release. So let's have a think about this. How can we code this? Well, it's quite easy. If the parcel is between 1 and 5 kilograms, then it's going to be $10. So we can do that straight away. So I'm here in the code where the parcel is accepted. We only want to work out the price if the parcel is accepted. So we know that it's going to be $10 if the weight is between 1 and 5. So let's do that. We say if the weight of the parcel is greater than or equal to 1 and the weight of the parcel is less than or equal to 5, then it's going to be $10. So actually what we could do is we could have our variable price, which is going to store our overall price, set it to be 10 to start with. Actually no, we'll set it to 0, and then here we'll set the price to 10 if it's between those. Now, else, if it's basically greater than 5, then we need to do this kind of weird workings out. So what do we have to do again? We have to basically use that $10, and then for every 100 grams over 5 kilograms up to 10, it's 10 cents per 100 grams. So the first thing we need to do is find out the difference between the weight of the parcel and 5 kilograms. So the first thing we do is we find out the price difference, sorry, the weight difference between the weight of the parcel and 5 kilograms, because that's our sort of our benchmark, because we're only charging over 5 kilograms. So we can start off with our price at 10 again. We could change that in a bit. And we're going to find the weight difference. So I'll call it weight diff. It's going to be a variable that stores the weight difference, and it's going to be the weight of the parcel minus 5, because 5 is what we're charging from. Now, basically it said that for every 100 grams, you need to charge 10 cents. So what we can do is we can find out how many 100 grams there are. So if I call it 100 grams, and that is going to be equal to the weight difference that we've just worked out times 1,000 divided by 10. So what that does is it takes the weight difference, times it by 1,000 divided by 10, and that will give us how many different 100 grams there are between the weight of the parcel. And obviously because there's, in a kilogram there's 100 gram, 1,000 grams, sorry, in a kilograms, get it right. Okay, so the extra price, is then going to be the 100 grams that we've just worked out, number of 100 grams, times 0.1, which is basically 10 cents per 100 grams. And then we're going to add that on to our price. So the overall price is going to be the normal price plus the extra price. So I'm just going to add a couple of debug things here so you can see what's going on, and we can work out to see whether or not the parcel was correctly priced. So I'm going to print out the weight difference just for debug. Again, we can remove these or we can comment them out afterwards. So the weight difference, and then I'm also going to print out the 100 grams. And then finally, we just need to print out the parcel price anyway, the total price. So actually what we can do is we can do that outside. If we do that here outside the if and the else loop, then it doesn't matter if the parcel was over 10 or not. So, so I'm just going to print the price. Like that. Okay, now there's a couple of things we could do here actually. I've got the price, I'm creating the price here, I'm setting it to be 0. But actually what I could do is I could just set that to be 10 and I can get rid of these 2 lines of code here. And it's always going to sort of start off on 10. And then if the parcel weight is between 1 and 5, we can just do what's called a pass, and it won't do anything. It will just, you know, not do anything basically. You could actually get rid of that completely if you wanted to. You just get rid of that if statement and put it here, but I'll leave it in for now. I might change it later. Okay, so let's run and let's check to see if this price stuff works. And so I'll just do one parcel in the consignment, and let's do a parcel so that it's 4 kilograms, so it should be $10, and it's accepted. There we go. Oh, and parcel price is 10. Good. So that's correct. Now let's run that again, and let's get one where it's heavier than 5. So it's going to work out. So let's think about 8. An 8 kilogram parcel. So we'll make sure that's accepted as well. So that's saying that the parcel price should be $40. I'm not quite sure that's right. So let's have a think about this. Yeah, so it looks like actually that 1,000 there should be 100. So that looks like it's incorrect. So I think if I remove that one, that 0 there, the weight difference times 100 instead of 1,000. I think that was probably my error. Let's run that again and see if that corrects it. Certainly shouldn't be $40 anyway. Let's check. And obviously testing is really important, so you can't just assume that you've done it right. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, $13. That's correct. So the error was in my weight difference there. It should have been times 100, not 1,000. Okay, so that is task 3 done. The price is being worked out correctly. We need to, however, just also add in the total weight of the consignment. So the total price of the consignment, because we've done the total weight of the consignment. So let's do that. We need to add in a variable here, which is total price consign. And I'll set that to be equal to 0. And we're going to add that onto our total weight consign equals, just make sure I've got that right. It's quite a long one yet. Already starting to misspell it slightly. There we are. That's better. Plus the price. There we go. And then we'll just print that out at the end as well. And we could check that as well. We could just make sure that everything is sort of correct. And yeah, let's just test that again. It's always good to test as much as possible, really. So we've got a number of parcels. I'll just do 2, and I'll make sure that they're all okay. So I'll add 9 kilogram one, something heavy, and a 3 kilogram one. There we go. So total price consignment $24. That looks right. Yeah, good. So that is all done. Now before I finish though, we have done all of that. Nice little program, this one. One thing I do want to point out is very often in the exam they ask you about constants. And remember that constants are like variables in a program, but they never change. You cannot change the value of them or value of what they hold once the program is running. So a constant is just like a variable. It stores the value, but once the program is running, you cannot change that value. So they quite often ask about it, and we haven't got any constants here, but obviously because we can't actually do them anyway because Python doesn't have them. But we could, if we wanted to, add a few in because of what we would use if we were using a language that let you do this. So there's quite a few examples here. So our minimum weight and our maximum weight, we could pretend that they're constants. So we could say this is a constant. And I'll say minimum weight, min weight, and max weight, for example. So I'll put min weight equals 1, max weight equals 10, for example. And that gives us a couple of options. If they do ask that in the exam, then you can put those down. We could also do the same for the dimensions, so we could change that into a constant, and this one here, so the 80s and the 200. I'm not going to do those now, but you could add them in if you wanted to, but it's always good to have at least 2 different min max values, or something similar, some kind of constant, in case they do ask that in the exam.